Hi, this is Mr. Y. So this is a game that was played on Wednesday, uh, May 13th, 14th. This is the first round of the Wednesday Chess Championships. The game was played between um, Collin and Sagan. Sagan had the white pieces. Collin had the black pieces. Sagan started off with e4. Um, Collin replied with this move, the Pirates opening, d6, which he's been playing. I saw he played 3 games on both sides of this against Zach, 2 with black and 1 with white. So he's been trying to get familiar with this opening, which is kind of interesting. He plays a very unorthodox move here, Bishop d7. It's only been played like 8 times in the chess database. Obviously, now Collin has played it 4 times himself, which aren't in the chess database. Um, it's an interesting move. Usually, what happens here, rather than that, is you bring the knight up here. But okay, this is entirely playable. It's unorthodox, but it works. Bishop c4. Whoops, bishop c4. Where's c4? Here we go. Best here would have simply been to bring out this bishop, I believe, or this knight rather. Yeah, okay, this is fine. What do we have? Knight f6. Bishop f4. Okay, now we need to. This square is under attack, and Sagan decides not to defend it. He's just going to develop. Knight c6. In general, I like to do knights before bishops because you don't really know where you want your bishops to go. So knights go before bishops. Knight c6. Knight f3. All right. And Collin decides, well, I'm going to take this pawn. Knight c3. Sagan brings out his knight a little belatedly, and Collin, after a little bit of thought, decides to take the knight. And then Sagan ends up doubling his pawns here. So in exchange for, well, not really anything, we've got doubled pawns here, and Collin is up a pawn. Interestingly, the computer doesn't give black much of an advantage at this point. Just a tiniest little advantage, which is good. I mean, it's better than not having any advantage at all. So let's see, what would have been better here? Back here to defend the pawn before bringing out the other one. Then black is going to, well, probably do something like e5. I don't know. Hard to know. Okay, so this was what was played. We've knights exchanged, and then we have e6 from black. Another interesting move. I suppose now that this knight is gone, you don't really want to fianchetto. So he's going to do this, try to develop his bishop. Castles, bishop e7, queen b1. Sagan goes after this pawn here. Collin immediately defends it. And then Sagan does this move which I really, really don't like. Never touch your pawns in front of the king without having a good reason to. He pushes this pawn, which completely loosens this knight here. Granted, it then solidifies this bishop, but these 2 squares are now loose. Actually, more important than the knight being loose is the fact that the 2 squares are loose, and that really concerns me. Also, this square is only defended by the king, so this whole complex of white squares is now in jeopardy. Collin castles, king h1, another move that I don't like. It's like Sagan has turned off his brain for a few moves. Honestly, I don't know. There's 3 moves in a row here that I really don't like. E5, and here's the third move in a row. He decides that, well, that wasn't a good move with my king, I'm going to put it back. Of course, there's a problem here, is that his bishop is hanging. So when he moves king here, then Collin rightly takes the bishop, and that's essentially game over at this point. It's just a matter of technique from here on out. G takes f. Now this kingside pawn structure is completely decimated. Bishop h3. Collin takes advantage of it, attacking the rook. The rook goes to e1. Bishop h4. Bring the other bishop in. We've got a battery of things going here. Sagan takes the bishop, exchanging it for a queen. Well, queen comes in. Looks pretty dire for the white pieces. Queen d1. Queen f4. Takes the pawn. King h1. I thought I saw a mate here, but that was wrong when I was watching the game. Rook fe8. So Collin decides he's going to exchange off some of the pieces. Bishop d5. Queen takes f2, threatening checkmate right there. So that has to be defended against. Queen g1. We exchange queens. King is completely exposed. It's not looking good. Knight e7. Doesn't want to exchange the knight for the bishop at this point. Rook g1. No, that's not right. Rook e1. That makes more sense. Now the knight is pinned to the rook, but it doesn't really matter yet. I don't think he's going to be able to get a second attacker on it. g5. The threat here is that if knight takes bishop, then we have rook takes rook checkmate. So Collin didn't take this bishop yet. He decided he was going to open this up with this move, which is a little unusual. At this late stage, I have no qualms with it, actually. I would have done that because that's more stylish, but it's not actually any better, I think. Yeah, it's about the same. So anyway, so Collin did that to give his king an escape square. All right, so bishop takes b7. Sagan grabs a pawn. Rook b8. Now this knight isn't pinned anymore; it's also hanging. Bishop a6. Sagan decides he's not going to exchange material. This is the possibility that he avoided. So he instead retreated the bishop. Knight d5. Where's d5? Up here. So now he brings the knight up. King f2. Sagan at this point is just making legal moves. F5. King g3. Going after the bishop. Bishop g4. You could have also pushed the pawn to defend the bishop. I'm not sure which is better. Let's see. What does the computer think? Computer agrees with... No, he doesn't. The computer says knight f4. Interesting. What's knight f4? That defends the bishop. Oh, that's actually... Yeah, that's good. I like that. Now we're threatening... what are we threatening? We're threatening to come down here with the knight. And then when the king takes the bishop, then you take the rook. So that's an interesting move. But Collin instead moved the bishop back, which is pretty good. c4. Oops, wrong way. c4 attacks the knight. The knight has to go somewhere. Knight b4. All right. Yeah, sure. Bishop b5. Cutting off communication between the rook and the knight. Not that he has anything to attack the knight with. I suppose he could attack with the pawns. Knight takes c2, attacking the rook. Rook c1. This is a mistake. Knight takes d4. You see what the threat is now? I bet Sagan does. Bishop d7. That was not the right move because there's the move. There's the threat. It's a fork. King g2. Whoops. King f2 is what was played. Knight takes c1. Bishop e6 check. king f8, king g2, and now Collin has to figure out a way to checkmate with the pieces that he has. So he's starting to work on it. Rook e8. He's going to try to plow his way through the bishop. Bishop d7, attacking the rook. He goes rook e2 check. Okay, gains the tempo on the king. Say not many squares left for this king to go to. He goes to king f1. We got some email. Bishop h5, a4, f4, a5, f3, a6, f2, bishop b5. I guess he's planning to push this pawn, attacking the rook. Rook b2. He's not going to have anything of it. h3. Very few reasonable legal moves left. Bishop e2. King g2. We have a queen. King g3. Queen f3. King h2. Bishop takes c4. Check. King g1. And we have mate. All right. So, and Sagan very nicely said, good game, because it was a good game. Collin played extremely cleanly. Let's go back to the top, see what's going on here. An unusual opening. I don't know what to say about it. It seems to work. It's working for Collin. And then we have the hanging pawn. We get the bad pawn structure here. Yeah. Then we get the series. We get the brain cramp here from Sagan. 1, 2, 3 bad moves in a row, loses a whole piece and destroys your pawn structure in front of your king. And the game is over. It's just a matter of cleaning up, which Collin did very nicely here, exchanging off material, just putting pressure on the white king, forking the rook when he can, when he gets the opportunity, and then abandoning the bishop there so he doesn't have anywhere to go, and finally promoting a piece, promoting a queen. Checkmate. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Go play some more chess. I'll see you for round 2. Bye-bye.